What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about cheating and one interesting fact about it. And it just came to my mind and just boggled my mind. I mean, this is actually something that I sort of realized quite a while ago, but it's time for a discussion on the topic. So, cheating happens in relationships, whether it's a casual relationship with your boyfriend or girlfriend or something more serious. But here's the thing, how do they find out that their significant other cheated on them? Well, the roots come down to something like their significant other admits it, one. Two, a friend who has witnessed it tells you. Three, a friend of a friend who has witnessed it tells you. Or four, um, she somehow tells a friend and that friend tells you, or I guess the last possible thing I could think of is um, someone who's not her friend tells you, or six, you somehow find out on your own by witnessing it. So here are the things that you can pretty much assign to how you find out about cheating. And I guess another one is probably um, finding out through your own investigation, which covers stuff like um, digging up text messages and emails, or finding incriminating solid evidence through letters or photos or whatever. But here's the thing, like, from an objective perspective, like, whether you like it or not, there's a statistical likelihood that, like, you don't find out about it, and therein lies the horror in a way. Let's say your significant other isn't stupid and he or she deletes all sort of contact, whether it's phone exchange or emails or text messages, and on top of that, they make sure not to let anyone witness it, or they make it very, very clear to not engage in any sort of thing that would incriminate them or expose them to witnesses or evidence, and they wipe it all clean, so no videotapes of the incident or so forth. And therein lies the truth of the matter. I mean, a certain percentage of these sort of things occur, and whether you like it or not, there's a statistical likelihood that they don't get found out. And so therein lies the horror of it. Apparently, I think I've heard stories of people who, for many years, have engaged in this and they haven't been found out, but they eventually do after like 15, 20 years. So the only thing, the thing working against you is the fact that um, you're the longer it occurs, the more chances you get for screwing it up and forgetting to delete a text message, or just the amount of time you spend. I mean, time is another factor. If you're spending more and more time mysteriously at a location that your spouse or your significant other doesn't know about, he's going to start asking questions, or he might just investigate or track you down. So that is true. But what about those instances when it's like a, a hookup every week or every month, or a one-time incident that occurs that you never find out about it, but then that incident occurs again maybe a few months later when she meets that guy at a party or whatever that you don't go to? Like, therein lies the horror of this whole thing. Like, you don't know. And so where does that put you? Well, I mean, like it or not, you can't just go with your boyfriend or girlfriend wherever he goes or she goes to make sure she doesn't do it. There comes a time when you just can't go to that party with that boyfriend or girlfriend for whatever reason, and you have to trust them. It may not be a party, it may just be some sort of event that he has to go to himself. So herein lies the issue, and it all comes down to, in my opinion, at my current level of humble intelligence and um, my humble experience, I would say it comes down to I think trustworthiness and assessing the restraint and trustworthiness and seriousness of your partner. And honestly, these things should be sort of assessed before you get into something like this. Um, but most people, a lot of people don't. They just rush into these things. And I mean, if you do so casually, I mean, you're technically at fault here if it happens. I mean, you're at fault for getting so mad when you do get cheated on, when you have yourself selected the bad fruit. It's like choosing a rotten apple to eat and then getting mad when you take a bite and it tastes like crap. I mean, you chose the apple. So it's kind of like that. But sometimes you can't tell. Sometimes you think it's good. Sometimes you're stupid. And then you learn. Well, I mean, that sort of just happens. So, I've heard a lot of stories of ridiculous situations where um, uh, girls or guys are just stupid. Um, and quite honestly, I think the average person is quite dumb. You're not born out of the womb with all these all the qualities that you've attained, that will help you with restraint and the seriousness of the relationship and so forth. Um, you aren't born with all those qualities, and honestly, like anyone under 20 years of age, most likely, um, they just naturally, for the most part, they're just very casual with things, and they don't really care, and they say they care, but honestly, um, when a better thing rolls along, they'll take it up on the offer, given the right circumstances. Um, so I mean, there's a lot of things factoring into this, and I can't really pinpoint it down to one thing. Um, by the way, I'm going to keep going. If the battery cuts off at any second while I'm recording this, I'm sorry. But I'm going to keep going. I just want to say that I've I remember reading a lot of stories and hearing a lot of stories, real stories, that just boggle my mind. I remember reading them and just thinking, this is so ridiculous. Or hearing them, um, or from a real person, just hearing these stories and being like, seriously. But people don't think, and honestly, like there always lies a danger of that happening. Um, so I would say personally, I would just keep it casual if I think that girl is casual like that. And I think it gets serious when you get to the boyfriend girlfriend level and the marriage level, and most people don't think it through like that. I mean, personally, I don't think I would really seriously trust someone to that level until I've really been in a serious relationship for them for many years before I would even consider marriage. But I mean, people rush into these things assuming it's all fine and dandy, and then they find out later, um, that there's other things, like they're not that serious, or the girl is just they can't control themselves. Maybe they do like you in that way and they are that serious, but for some reason or other they biologically can't control themselves. um, and some people would reason that that's just a lie. um, but I think a certain extent, and it varies person to person. It is sort of like there's a difference in difficulty in controlling themselves, and on the other hand, there's again, it varies from person to person. There's a matter of moral character and personal choice. Um, And so, yeah, just I would just personally just keep it casual. If I mean, I think I'm a fairly good judge of it. And quite honestly, like, there are certain situations where it's like, I wish this person was serious, um, and I'm infatuated with her, but I know deep down that she's really not taking this. She would never really take this seriously, and I couldn't really trust her on a level where I would know she wouldn't cheat. And there's a lot of other factors too, uh, like if she's constantly putting herself in situations that that sort of push her to cheat, like choosing to go to parties and drinking a lot of alcohol or doing a lot of drugs rather than some not doing that sort of stuff. I mean, it's the same sort of thing. That's what kind of leads to alcoholism and so forth. Um, so I really haven't figured it out, but one thing I do know is that it's not black and white. Um, I've heard stories that I can't, pull up off the top of my head, but I remember when reading them or hearing them, I would just think, wow, um, that is so retarded. Like, I can't even think about it. But I guess the one quote to epitomize this would be something I heard this semester in college, last semester technically, from one of my classmates. And he said something like this while we were waiting for this device. He said, uh, I used to be so into that sort of romantic, lovey dovey sort of stuff. But then I realized that all these girls are so stupid and they're not for that, or something like that. He said, he said it in a way where it was like, but then I realized all these girls are so stupid. And then, like, I mean, I heard it and it made sense. He said, like, now he's just like hooking up with them and he's not really taking it seriously. He's just having fun. And in a lot of ways, it's true. Like, um, it if you want to get into that serious relationship stuff, keep in the right circles, especially if you're under 20.